Hi. I wanted to talk a little bit about integration counseling and how God has written two books. And so we think about God's special revelation in the Bible, and of course that's matchless. That's the amazing thing about His Word, that His Word is actually God-breathed, and so it's a precious treasure indeed. But God has also written what we could call another book, the book of creation. And so this is one of the areas where sometimes people avoid counseling, for example, unless it's what they call biblical counseling. But I'm grateful that I got to take an integration course about counseling from Liberty University. And one of the greatest texts we have in the Bible that I think makes this very plain and helpful is Psalm 19. And so we see in Psalm 19, I have verses 1 through 6 on the screen, that we're informed here, I think, that God's creation speaks. Just like one of the illustrations I like to use is, I think, if I want to know how to do plumbing, that plumbing is a very orderly thing, and I can do plastic, PVC plumbing, or we can do copper plumbing or whatnot, but there's regular order and rules to that. And so we don't find out about that in the Bible. We find out about that by studying plumbing. And so here we see in verse 1 that the heavens are telling something. The heavens, the skies around us, are telling God's glory, and their expanse is telling things about God's works. And so we see that day after day, the creation is speaking. It's speaking about God's glory. And their voice, verse 4, has gone out into all the earth. And so one of the examples that we're given in this psalm is the sun. And so we're told that the sun, this amazing sun that we live by, is like a groom coming out of his chamber. So you imagine a man, it's his honeymoon, and he's coming out of his chamber like, life is good, right? And so the sun does that every morning. Every morning is like honeymoon. He's very excited and things. And then after he comes out of his chamber, this tent, it says, he comes out of his chamber and rejoices then like a strong person. So not only is he like a groom, but he's like a muscle man. And what is he strong to do? He's strong to run a race, kind of like the Olympics, right? And so he just never misses a beat. He from verse 6, it's rising is from one end of the heavens, and its circuit to the other end. And so he's like a bridegroom, and now he's like an Olympic runner, and he just runs and runs, and he never gets tired. He just a amazing athlete. And then we're told that nothing is hidden from its heat. And so imagine the sun is 93 million miles away, and it's flinging out energy in all directions. We pay for energy, for electric and for gas for our cars and for food for our bodies, but the sun just flings energy in every direction. And so what an amazing thing. And so God is telling us that the creation is speaking every language. There's no language that the creation doesn't speak in. And we can learn things, and such as attachment theory. And so I would encourage people to consider going to an integration counselor, for example, who learns from both books. And so let me pause this for a moment. And now I want to look at the second half of the psalm. So we've looked at general revelation, one of God's books, so to speak, that he's written. And now let's consider that the second half of Psalm 19 tells us about 7 special revelations. So there's this abrupt shift, right? He's just been speaking about the way the heavens speak, and so the world around us speaks. There's an orderly universe, and that's one of the things that early scientists of great acclaim, like Newton and so forth, were Christians, and so they could do things from the orderliness of the universe. And so that's how they could glean amazing things. But in verse 7, we have this wonderful, important shift that we go from general revelation to special revelation. And so Howard Hendricks, he made this statement about how that's like a curtain, and that there's things that we would not know unless God had revealed them through special revelation. And so it's like God opens this curtain for us. And so what an amazing thing we have in the Bible. What a treasure indeed, as I said earlier. And so we have this passage here in Psalm 19 where we're told all these wonderful things about God's Word. And so we're told that His law is perfect, restoring our soul. His testimony is sure. All these great things about God's Word. And so we have the Bible, and so what a delight we have that we can help people with the Bible. And so I encourage you to consider, if you're going to a counselor, to get a counselor who uses the best of both books. And so, because there's things in the Bible that are so precious indeed. And so we can help people with tools from both. And so I really encourage you to consider this two-book idea, that God has written two books. And so I pray that you will find Jesus if you don't know Him, and that you'll grow in Him if you do. And I pray that you'll be open to this two-book method. And there's some great resources out there. There's a book by McMinn that's amazing about the integration of counseling using both books. And there's an amazing book by Entwistle as well. And so I encourage you to seek those out and consider those if you want additional information. So